Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from Quranite.com. Today is Thursday the 11th of November 2021, and those who follow my channel closely and have watched the video I made about fasting and so on, they know that I and certain other people who are also doing this fast, we're about halfway through that. So now I'm kind of through the fog, as it were, and I thought I would make use of this newly acquired clarity to make a video that I've been thinking about making for quite some time. And this is a kind of tongue-in-cheek one, just a little bit, but a little bit serious as well. And in it, what I wanted to do was to address some of the common themes of accusations that get leveled at me. Now, if you've never had a YouTube channel or kind of put yourself out there to any great extent, you will still probably understand what I'm talking about, because it's just a matter of extent. All of us, we all have if we have an online life of any kind, we deal with trolls and misinformation and people lying about you and all the rest of it. All that happens is, if you get a channel like mine, which is not a huge channel, but I think it creates quite a lot of for and against amongst quite passionate people. You kind of generate more and more of this sort of noise, and I can't address all of it, and I don't try to, but I see some of it, and I kind of made a list of commonly recurring themes, and I thought, you know what, while I'm still doing this, I'm going to make a video so at least my version is out there for what it's worth. As everyone will know, if someone's kind of wants to say nasty things about you, they're going to do it. Nothing you're going to say is going to make any difference, but it doesn't hurt to have your version out there. So that's what I'm doing in this one. And so here goes. Now, you just have to take my word for it. These are themes that I get a lot, either through emails or kind of trolls and all that kind of stuff. This isn't based on any mathematical analysis. This is just, yeah, I've had this one a few times. So this one or this one. Here we go. Number one. One gets accused of trying to control the narrative, controlling the narrative. Now, where that comes from is people who come onto my work and just dump all over it. Somebody who doesn't have a channel, they've never produced anything, they don't use their real name. Assuming that they're real people, you get these totally delusional people who think that they have a right to go onto anyone else's work and just splurge whatever nonsense that comes into their minds, and that if you should allow that to happen, that they have a right to do that. And if you don't, if you take the trash out, just kind of get rid of it, then that's called controlling the narrative. Now, I thought about this because I don't really like having comments open on my stuff. Quite a lot of channels don't bother with it because it's just much more hassle than it's worth. But I do keep them open, and I keep them open for some quite good reasons. One of which is that very occasionally you read one and you think, that's a really good thought. Doesn't happen very often, I'll be honest, but it does happen, and it has happened, and it's been worth it. It's been worth keeping it for those occasions when it has happened. So that's one reason. But another reason that I keep the comments open is for other Quran alone believers to see that there are other people out there. They're intelligent, they're decent, and all of that. So that's another reason why I keep it, and that's another reason why I have to throw these jokes out, because they're just, I don't know, kind of poisoning the well, as it were. But the controlling the narrative, I thought about that. Controlling the narrative. To control the narrative, you'd need to control the entire internet. I only have one little channel, and if somebody else wants to make another channel about how horrible or wrong or whatever it is that Sam Gerrans is, they can do it. I mean, I'm sure YouTube wouldn't stop them from doing it. You can go and do it, as long as you don't break my copyright or something. You can do what you want to do, within the bounds of what's decent and right. But you'll find that it's a lot of work. Making one video isn't very difficult, but making a lot of videos over consistently with something that people want to hear, that is difficult. But controlling the narrative, I don't know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Anyway, the next one, number two, I'm against science. Apparently I'm against science. Well, I take issue with this. I'm not against science, but I do insist that science meet the demands of the scientific method. And I do distinguish between science, which does that, and and scientism, which is just an ideology. And the boundaries are very blurred in my opinion, and it seems to me that science fails that test repeatedly, and it's just not popular to say so. I do say so where I think that it happens, and that's my view. And if I actually see science where it is something that's demonstrable, repeatable, and can be proven, then I'm all in favor of that. But I don't see that that's what's happening now. What I see happening now is what C.S. Lewis was talking about, is the fact that scientists would just simply be bought and sold, and they really are. Not all scientists, but a lot of good scientists whose findings don't comport with the woke agenda or whatever agenda it is, they get kicked out repeatedly. So I just say that isn't science. It's ideology and a religion, actually. And I just don't believe in it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, the next one, that I'm against women and a misogynist. I do get that one quite a lot. Now, I can see why that may seem the case, given how delusional the whole world has become over the last 40 or 50 years. You see, men and women, when I was growing up, even in the 1970s, and the 1970s in the UK were kind of grubby and dirty and cheek by jowl, and you got your face punched quite a lot and all of that stuff. And the comprehensive schools were horrible and taught you almost nothing. But I'm struggling here to find a good thing here. But there was one good thing. It was, well, compared to now, we were just normal. We understood that boys and girls are different, and boys are good at this and girls are good at that, and we weren't fighting reality. Now, over the last 20, 30 years, obviously that's all changed, and now one has to pretend, or is supposed to pretend, that things are antithetical to reality. And I don't go along with that, and there's several reasons why I don't go along with it. Firstly, I won't allow myself to be pushed into pretending to believe something that I just don't believe in is obviously errant, nonsense. But also there's the Quranic point of view, and the Quran is directed to men as the leaders of societies. The Quran is very clear. The man and the woman, the male and the female, they're not the same. Now, this is like a radical thing to say, but for 10,000 years of human history, that wasn't a radical thing to say. That was just obvious. So I'm sticking with obvious. So if this is to be called misogyny, I don't believe that's correct. What I do think could be labelled misogyny is indoctrinating women into disregarding their natural inclinations and fortes in order to pursue something at which they can only fail unless men collectively hold the bar down. Because there are things that men are just great at, and there is another set of things that women are great at, and they're not the same thing. Generally speaking, I will admit there is some sort of overlap. But, trying to pretend that women are all going to be, fantastic Formula One drivers or whatever it is, whatever new delusional psychotic thing that they're doing to break down human society, knock yourself out with it. But I'm not going to pretend that I go along with it. And since this channel is about the Quran, the Quranic position is certainly a male-dominated society. There's no question about that. And I can recommend an excellent pamphlet by a chap called Glubb, Glubb. He wrote, I think it's called The End of Empire or The Fall of Empire, something like that. You can find it online. He tells you all about why societies go through various phases. And the pre-collapse phase is when men basically give up their responsibilities in favor of women. That means you're just about to implode. Okay. Now, my view is that, and this cycle has happened many times in many cultures. They said, he says in the book, in the pamphlet, that they said about Rome toward the end that Rome ruled the world and the women ruled Rome. Well, they collapsed very shortly after that. They had the same thing in Arab empires. He's done that work very thoroughly. What I would say is that this is nothing against women. It's just that this is a cautionary tale that if you want to preserve your society, then you need to preserve certain, basic obvious realities. And my view would be that what we're going through now is that the ruling elite, they know this. And although this cycle has happened many times in the past, they are not waiting for it to happen. They're making it happen because they know that this is how you destroy a society. So I'm against people destroying societies. So that I am against. But am I against women in a sort of organized way? No, I'm not. And I do accept that a lot of the propaganda about equality and so on, it kind of sounds all right. And, when I first heard it, I thought, yeah, it sort of sounds okay. But we see that it doesn't work. You see, I grew up, as I say, in the 1970s, and all of this sort of third wave feminist kind of anti-life, anti-God, anti-society, anti-male ideology was just sort of being kind of put forward then. Well, now we're 40, 50 years downstream. See where we've ended up, okay? A bit like the sodomite agenda. They started out, they just wanted to be tolerated and all the rest of it. Now they're after children, okay? So it's not like we don't have to guess anymore. We know where this goes. So if you want to say that, I'm against women, I don't agree. I actually, most of them, personally, my finances, time, efforts and so on, actually go into protecting women, my wife and my daughter. So, in terms of my energies, social energies, vastly disproportionately, most of them go into preserving, protecting and helping females. So anyway, next one. I'm a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a conspiracy factualist. And so I that's me. Yes, I don't agree in the sort of laissez-faire version of history, where things just happen for no reason. I certainly believe that rich and powerful men get together and have an agenda. I know because I've seen them. I've been at meetings where those things have been done. I'm not guessing. But, if it all just seems, like it just fell together in this way for you, you're welcome to it. But if you want to call it a conspiracy theorist, certainly to some extent, you have to theorize because they don't come out and tell you. Well, they do kind of tell you, but they usually hide it in very expensive and very difficult to read books. But I've done enough research in my own life to be completely convinced that, firstly, the money system is designed is weaponized actually, and is a form of slavery. It's indentured slavery. And I could carry on for a long time, but yes, certainly I would be in that camp of non-conformist thinkers. Certainly, actually, just thinkers. All right, number 5. I get this quite a bit. I ask for money and I'm in it for the money. Firstly, I've never asked anybody for money. Don't do it. At the end of my videos, I say, if you would like to, I can't remember what it exactly is, but if you would like to help me keep doing this, that's not asking people for money. Asking people for money is, here's a thing I'm selling and it costs this much. That's a completely different dynamic. And I give away everything that I produce for free. But, people don't want to hear that. But that's the truth. I'm in it for the money. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I have said this a few times before, but you can take it from me that spending a lot of time, a lot of energies putting your name, because a lot of these sorts of accusations come from people hiding behind a kind of a wall of anonymity. But the way it is in reality, if you put your name and your face out there and demonstrate that the traditionalist Muslim, his religion is at odds, in fact, undeniably at odds with the book which he claims is his foundational scripture, you throw that kind of hand grenade into the hornet's nest of the Muslim world, it's not a great career move. There are better career moves. Really, there are. So this isn't one of them. So that's that one. The next one, number 6, I'm an elitist. I kind of know what they mean. What I would say is that to some extent, I would go with that in the sense that I am able to discriminate. Now, the word discriminate has been changed in the last 50 years. Discrimination, the ability to determine the difference to make a value judgment between good and bad things, was the sine qua non of any intelligent human being for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. But now, the ability to tell the difference between good and bad is some sort of crime. So I am an elitist in the sense that if somebody's really good at something, I'll say that person is really good at it. If they're reasonably good at it, I'll say they're reasonably good at it. If they're not very good at it at all, I'll say they're not very good at that at all. Because that's reality. But giving everyone a participation prize and pretending everyone is great at absolutely everything in order to, so they don't hurt their feelings, that's for morons. So I don't do that, because any society that does that, practices that kind of self-deception long enough, is guaranteed to collapse. Do you want your bridges built by people who can't, who are operating on the basis of feelings? Do you want your aeroplanes piloted by those sorts of people? No, of course you don't. But that's where we're going. That's where we're going with, with wokeness and all of this. So if you want to say elitist, what I will admit to is that I believe that people should be judged on the basis of their objective merits and not be mealy-mouthed about it. So if you want to call that elitism, it's an inappropriate application of that word, but it's not entirely wrong if you understand what I mean, what I've just said. So anyway, there's that one. Okay, number 7. I suppose I have to agree to this one. Videos are too long. Too long, too difficult, and too boring. Too long, too difficult, and too boring. Yes, they are. And that's partly by design. And my answer to that is, don't watch them. Go onto TikTok, find somebody with no clothes on dancing for 15 seconds, in front of a cat who smiles or whatever it is. Watch that. Don't watch this. And there's the reason why I make long, difficult, and boring videos, is because I am interested in people who are able to concentrate, because the rest of what I've done requires concentration. So in a way, this is kind of a filter. So that's the way that works. But I won't completely disagree with that one. There is some truth to that one. Number 8. Get this one cut a lot. I'm not open to other ideas. I'm not open to other views. Yeah, I kind of go with that to some extent as well. You see, the idea of being open-minded, open to absolutely everything, just like the wind just blows through your head and there's nothing to stop it. There's no point of kind of of pushback. I don't see why this is such a great advantage. See, as you get older, what you're doing is you're acquiring a skill set which helps you to filter and to process information in order to achieve a certain goal. And of course, you building up a kind of almost like an architecture, an infrastructure through which this works. So yes, I am blocking off various paths because we all have to specialize. In this time, when we have access to more knowledge, more information, perhaps is a better way of putting it, then you can shake a stick at. The ability to, what's the accusation? Yeah, not be open to other views is a great advantage. In fact, it's one of the chief advantages. People who are open to absolutely everything cannot move. They become paralyzed. And in fact, it's a great problem in this society, is people who are paralyzed by choice or apparent choice. So you're right. I'm not paralyzed by choice. I make decisions on what I am and what I'm not going to get involved in. So to some extent, I agree with you, but I'm just kind of explaining why that is. Number 9, that I promote spanking or beating women. Well, that's not true. I don't know. Promote that. I'm saying that I'm a translator of the Quran. I'm saying that that's what it says. There is one case where I think it's in Surah 9. I haven't checked it before I came on here, but it certainly says that the verb is daraba. And, you get modernist Muslims trying to ingratiate themselves with the modern woke culture, and that will all go away. Mark my words, once Western civilization collapses, they'll go straight back to what they didn't like before. This is just a sort of a holding pattern. But I'm saying that that's what it says. And in the context of a marriage which is breaking down, the woman is testing the man, and a woman can initiate divorce at any time. Okay, so but that's the situation where a woman is basically testing a man to see if he's serious or not. I didn't write it. I didn't write the Quran. I'm saying that is what it says, and also I provide some information in my work to put that into a broader context. Okay. That's it. Now, of course, it's possible to take this one little factoid and say, Sam Gerrans says this. I don't say it. I'm saying that's what the Quran says. And then I'm explaining why that's not such an insane thing in that context, the context of believers, context of a marriage that's going downhill. Read my notes on it, okay? But that's it. I do not say, everyone should go around beating women just on a sort of ad hoc basis or anybody. So, but anyway, that's my answer. I do have a video somewhere out in my YouTube stuff with a more detailed answer to that. But, it's not popular. I do agree. I absolutely do. But it says what it says. And, I've come too far to care about a few wokesters. I'm committed to what this book says. If you don't like it, take it up with God, okay? Or you don't like my translation, go to another translation. But, God wrote the Quran. I didn't. I'm responsible for my translation, and I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to pretend not to see something which is self-evidently there, because, we start doing that, we end up where we are now. Okay, two more to go. I don't believe in space or NASA, and I'm a flat earther. I don't believe in NASA. I don't believe it. It's true. I don't believe that this organization or any of the other organizations which are sucking billions and billions and billions out of their respective populations annually are bona fide. No, I don't believe it. And I don't think anybody could look at the moon landings with an adult in the cold light of day and say that's genuine. I mean, I'm not going to go over it now, but there's no way it's genuine. Now, if you accept that that's fake, and I think probably I don't know, I'm not appealing to the majority, but I think a lot of people get that, then my question would be, when did NASA start telling you the truth then? If you accept that that is fake, and it quite clearly is, especially if you look at what's happened since, where they've lost all of the data, they've lost all the original film, all the original footage. It's an art project, very badly put together. It looks like one. Look at the so-called astronauts when they got back after they supposedly had achieved the greatest thing that man had ever done in history. Look at their body language in the press conference. No, I don't believe in NASA. No, I don't. I absolutely don't. Space, well, again, I'm taking my position from the Quran, and the Quran, it uses language to do with the sky. Again, I didn't write the Quran, so don't blame me. I'm just explaining my translation. It says when the sky breaks, it cracks, it breaks open. That's the language. That's how it's described. Now, modernist again, and also, before I get into that, Islam was criticized during the time of the Renaissance and the so-called Enlightenment for being backward, because it was clear from the Quran, and Muslims didn't argue with that then, that these people believe that the sky is a firmament. Well, I do accept that. I don't trust NASA. I don't believe in their cosmogony. I don't believe in it. It's iconography. It's iconostas. It's a kind of idolatry. That's how it looks like to me, because people get very religious about it. So no, I don't accept what they're telling me about the sky. I've looked at it, and it doesn't make sense to me that I can see things which are apparently, supposedly, purportedly 25 trillion miles away, but I can still see them. And we're supposedly moving around all these different axes of movement, and yet the sky is the same day after night after night, year after year, century after century. And we know that. We know that it is. Polaris in the same place. So no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. If it doesn't comport with what you believe, okay, we'll just have to agree to disagree. But I have really done my research on it as an adult, and like everybody else, I was brought up, with the whole globe thing, and it seemed a bit weird, but I didn't fully question. It felt wrong then. But I've spent months looking into this, and if you don't like it, that okay. I don't care, but I'm just answering the question. So yeah, I don't agree with it. Flat earther, water lies flat. The last time I checked, water lies flat, and I've done my own experiments, and I've seen things that you couldn't see just by using a camera. If what they say is true, that there's a circumference of 25,000 miles, and that there's a curvature of 8 inches per mile squared, I know that cannot be true because I've seen it and tested it over water. So that I'm sticking with water. That's what I can see. That's what I know. That's what I've tested. Now, maybe I just had that, freak piece of water. Maybe there's some other, part of 10 miles of 20 miles of water somewhere else, which has got extra curve in it to make up for just the freaky weird bit that was flat that I looked at. But I'm going to stick with what I know. And the Quran tells us, to just to stick to what you know. And not to hold the things that you don't know. This I know. Now, I know lots of people telling me all kinds of things, but it doesn't make sense to me, and they can't prove it. They can call me names, and they can say you're a Luddite and a fool and whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And they're doing the same thing now on a much bigger scale with the magic injections. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me, and in my research of it, as an adult, of I think some considerable intelligence, I came to the view that they're lying. There you are. Last one, number 11. This is my favorite. I saved it for last. That Sam Gerrans has an agenda. I thought about that. I thought, you have an agenda. Sam Gerrans has an agenda. Yeah, I have an agenda, you moron. Of course I have an agenda. Do you honestly think that I would do this work without a plan? That I would just decide to go in and antagonize all these potentially murderous and, hardly self-critical people for no reason? I have just got nothing better to do. That I would spend however many years it is, I've lost count now, 7 or 8 years, building up a YouTube channel of only 8,000 or 9,000 viewers, subscribers, because I don't know, like I had nothing better to do, or I didn't have enough attention, or what. Yes, I have a plan. That's what an agenda is. It's having a plan. It's having a policy that you're setting out to do something specific. Yes. Why would I not? So there you are. There's your answer. Yes, I have an agenda. Anyway, I hope everyone is well. I'm, as you can see, somewhat more robust after a few days of fasting. It's going well, and I'm getting used to it. After a few 4 or 5 days, you start to get used to it. I can't remember how many. I think it's 6 today. I think it's 6, and I'm keeping to the vigils in the evening by reading portions between sort of 50 and 114. And I'd just like to say, respect and blessings to all the other people out there who are keeping this fast as well. That's it for today. I hope to make another video, although it will probably be after the fast is over. And as people who keep a track on what my channel is doing, I've been recording the God protocol onto videos. When that's finished, I'm just going to bounce all those together and put an MP3 on my site along with all the other audio stuff, and then just let that kind of fly off into the ether and see what happens with that. Anyway, that's it. That's all for now. I hope everyone's well, and I hope to drop another video quite soon. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Quran and all other work free using the button in the top right-hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop-down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Quran-alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop-down below to donate if you would like to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short. Eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.